Greetings guys, back at the movies, and tonight, courtesy of Disney and Marvel Studios, we have been invited to an early look at the brand new film directed by Ryan Coogler, and that is Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Extremely looking forward to this film. It stars Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, and the relatively new introduction of Tenoch Huerta, who plays the role of Namor the Submariner. We're just about to head in and check this film out. Hopefully you enjoy the preview in the meantime, and I'll be back after this to let you know my thoughts on the film and have a bit of a chat about the production. Talk to you soon.
Only the most broken people can be great leaders.
His people did not call him general or king. They called him Kukulkan, the feather serpent god. Killing him will risk eternal war.
He's coming for the surface world.
We know what you whisper. They have lost their protector. Now is our time to strike. Show them who we are.
Greetings once again guys, just got out of seeing the brand new film direct from Marvel Studios, and that is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, courtesy of producer Kevin Feige and of course writer and director Ryan Coogler, who directed the first Black Panther movie as well. Now this movie is pretty much a sequel to the original Black Panther movie, but it also is a bit of a sequel to Avengers Endgame, which is the last time we saw the nation of Wakanda and the wonderful characters that kind of featured in those movies. There is a bit of a looming cloud over this film, and that is the passing of the late great Chadwick Boseman, who played the role of Black Panther originally and also the role of Prince and King T'Challa. Now the way Ryan Coogler deals with it, quite swift and direct and very heartfelt and very warming. It's very well done, but at the same time it's dealt with so swiftly that I do find it kind of doesn't give the adequate closure that you need to, especially through the first act. Now, I think that's very deliberate because they do revisit the topic towards the end of the film, let's just say that, but really it's done so swiftly and really closer to real life than you'd expect considering all the creative elements that are involved in this world. And I think I needed a little bit more information about kind of how that really developed and what led to that. But really there is some elements of mystery in it, let me just say that, and in some ways it's kind of really works in the favor of the rest of the story, and that's because it gives the story breathing room to really focus on how all the other characters are dealing with it. Because it happens so swiftly, the other characters are having to kind of deal with it in the same way. Stars of the film are Letitia Wright, who plays the role of Shuri, who is the sister to T'Challa. She is phenomenal, just how much Marvel puts into her lap in this film and how she has to deal with all these insanely difficult elements. I thought it was very well done, and how Letitia Wright manages to juggle all those elements and convey this emotion, especially when we see her introduced in the original Black Panther movie. She's got this kind of vivacious energy about her to go along with this wonderful intelligence and humor that she has. That's really challenged in this movie, and she's got a lot of emotional development to go through, and I think it's very heartwarming, it's very emotional, and I think Letitia Wright conveys it brilliantly. She deserves so much credit. Angela Bassett, another star in this film, she plays the role of the mother to Shuri and T'Challa, and also Queen Ramonda. She is wonderful in this film. She's got this fabulous ability to emote and convey her emotion, and also has this element of gravitas, even a bit of anger, and yet this wonderful ability to show her nurturing side. I thought it was really a wonderful way that it was depicted, so Angela Bassett, congratulations on that as well. Now, there is some returning favourite characters in this also, Danai Gurira and also Lupita Nyong'o. They are so great in this movie as well. It definitely does seem to lean a bit more to Letitia Wright and Angela Bassett in the way how they're dealing with T'Challa's absence in the film, but really Lupita and Danai are fantastic in this film, and they just add to this wonderful element of all these character arcs kind of occurring simultaneously. Everyone's got their own issues to kind of deal with, and it's all very different. It's not really dealing with the same issues, and I thought it was really wonderful how Ryan Coogler has managed to thread all these wonderful character arcs together. Completely fantastic. This movie is very much assisted by the introduction of a brand new, very formidable character, and that is Namor the Submariner. He's probably one of the oldest Marvel comic book characters of all time. I think probably one of the only other ones that might be as old as him is the original Human Torch, who wasn't the one that was in Fantastic Four, it was just an original depiction of it. But yeah, Namor the Submariner, very interesting origins. So interesting in fact that when he became a little bit less popular in the comics and began to be a little bit less in print, the character Aquaman from DC inherited quite a few of the origins and elements of that character, which makes it a little bit tricky considering there is an Aquaman kind of franchise out at the moment. How Ryan Coogler deals with that introduction of the character of Namor the Submariner, who has really been tied up in the rights to Universal for quite some time, but how he deals with that introduction is very intelligent and very creative indeed. He leans very much into another mythological kind of advanced society from history and from mythology, and that is this Talocan and Mayan and Mexican Aztec themed society. I think it was very well done, very creative, courtesy of Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler in kind of coming up with this concept, and it really does a fantastic job in really exploring diversity once again. It's such a fantastic juxtaposition between the African nation of Wakanda and how they kind of are at odds with this technologically advanced underwater nation with Aztec and Mexican and Talocan and Mayan kind of origins in the form of Namor and his civilization. I think it's really fantastic the way it's done. Marvelous work by the creative team at Marvel Studios. In the role of Namor the Submariner is Tenoch Huerta, and he is fantastic, so well cast, so formidable in the role. He deserves a lot of credit, and he is essentially an anti-hero that is done very well. Like the character of Michael B. Jordan in the original Black Panther movie, there's similar elements that happen in this, but the opposition is obviously this character of Namor opposite Wakanda, and how well developed that character is and his motives, very well thought out, very creative, and how it kind of encroaches on these different elements that you wouldn't expect. Director Ryan Coogler's got this wonderful ability to have this way of dealing with these difficult questions and even visiting these difficult kind of political issues and even personal issues, and how as an emotional being you have to deal with this emotional trauma and hardship that you went through in your life. And I think these questions are asked and how you should respond and how you can respond to different situations. I think it's a very interesting character study, and Ryan Coogler is a master at threading those kind of nuances into a wonderful story world that's been created with Talocan and with Wakanda. I think it's fantastic work. Just also from the creative team and special effects and visual effects teams from Marvel Studios as well. Some of these creative elements that they thread through in this film that kind of visit the Wakandans and also the Talocan nation that's underwater, I think it's fantastic. I think it's very interesting to see that these underwater movies are happening. The technology is obviously advanced to quite a point, but some of these sequences that the Talokan explores, even just with the way that they're interacting with, let's just say, the various sea life in the ocean, I think it's really very well done. Very creative indeed. The team at Marvel deserves a lot of credit for conveying all that. There is also the introduction of a brand new character, courtesy of Dominic Thorne, who plays the role of Riri Williams. If you know who that character is, I don't need to kind of mention anything, but her introduction is completely fabulous. Her personality is infectious. It's just so entertaining, so enjoyable to watch. You just instantly love her as soon as she kind of comes on screen, and I think that's very well done by Marvel and Ryan Coogler to kind of incorporate that, but also fantastic by Dominic Thorne. I think she does a really fantastic job in showing these wonderful kind of character elements. Now, just in case you don't know, she is going to be getting a television series on Disney Plus in the foreseeable future that's already been approved. Now, just with how well introduced her character is in this, I think she could just go straight into a movie. I don't think she even needs a TV story. I think she just really deserves a movie. It was that good, and the way it was conveyed, fantastic. If you don't know her origins, let's just say that she probably has a bit of a Tony Stark kind of presence that will be in future kind of films, let's just say that. But she is fantastically executed in this, and I think it was a wonderful plot device to kind of get things going. Very great introduction. But she is going to be in a series called Ironheart, which will be coming out on Disney Plus in the foreseeable future. But as I said, I think that might be a mistake. I think she deserves a movie. She's that good in this film. The other major character in this film is the wonderful musical score and composition, and that's courtesy of Ludwig Göransson. He does a fantastic job. He composed the original Black Panther film, and those wonderful, unique, interesting musical elements that kind of created that story world at the same time. He revisits it, introducing new elements in this film, not so much bringing up the old kind of soundtrack, which I kind of wanted a little bit more of it. He does thread it through into the plot, but also just this brand new theme for the Talokan Nation, and also for the Wakanda Nation as well. He's kind of got these different elements kind of working. The musical score, sublime. Compared to the original Black Panther movie, is it just as good or is it better? I'm not so certain. I think that original Black Panther movie was done seamlessly. It kind of felt like it was based off Lion King in some ways, but both those films, coincidentally, based very much off Hamlet. Now, this film deals with it a little bit differently. Now, I do know Ryan Coogler did use a bit of the Godfather films to kind of inspire some of the way royal families kind of have conflicts. I thought that was quite interesting, and I do know he actually had personal chats with director Francis Ford Coppola, and he even showed him the original cut of the Black Panther movie. Do I see those elements in this? Not so much, but he does a fantastic job in interweaving these interesting emotional conflicts and the way that these characters are dealing with these emotions and the absence of Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa, particularly in the story, and as well as that dealing with these individual emotional traumas, and as well as that political kind of issues that are themes that are still going on in society today that are challenging questions to answer, and how everyone has a different perspective. But it doesn't feel too allegorical and doesn't feel like it's preachy in any way. I think it's just very wonderful storycraft, and not to mention stagecraft, just the way everything is produced for this particular narrative. I do think it's probably one of the best movies this year. It is that good. Probably the only other film that I think of is The Batman earlier this year. They're both very different films, but they both told very intriguing stories. This film feels a little bit more polished from start to finish, and it does a wonderful job in conveying closure for this wonderful actor that was Chadwick Boseman, and also for the wonderful character that was T'Challa, the Black Panther, and how the story continues on from that, and how it's just as interesting as it was. I thought I'd feel Chadwick Boseman's absence a lot more, and through the first half I did, but in saying that, when you look at how it's finally tied together, I think it's masterful work by Marvel and Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler particularly. A lot of credit is deserved by this creative team that's created all these interesting concepts, and just the wonderful way that these storyboards are created for Talokan and Wakanda. Just the visual effects teams have done a fantastic job in creating all this wonderful narrative. Can't recommend this film highly enough. Definitely check it out while you can. There are quite a few surprises in this, and quite a few surprise additions and re-returning characters. I'll just leave it at that. There is definitely a post-credit scene at the top of of the credits as well, so definitely check that out too. But aside from that, it's a very heartwarming film, and I very much recommend seeing this. It's action-packed and just stirs at the emotions and pulls at the heartstrings. I think it's wonderful. Aside from that, I'm about to head off. Hopefully you enjoy the footage, and can't recommend this movie highly enough. Definitely check it out. I will catch you guys at the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Definitely leave a comment if you have any questions about the production, and also let me know what you thought of the film. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'll catch you guys at the next one. So long.